Monday, we have our connectivity, 40 seconds of Z stretch and 40 seconds of box shoulder stretch. We're going to run through that 4 times. For the Z stretch, we want to make sure that we're doing the 0 assist transition. You can make that as frequent or as infrequent, I guess, as you'd like. But if we were to start with the left leg, the femur is straight away from the torso, and the left tibia is coming across the body, whereas the right femur is shooting out to the right side of the body, and the right tibia is facing behind. And then as we rotate to the right, we're basically just going to offset those 2 positions. The box shoulder, palms flat on top of any height box, whatever is appropriate for you. And then there's 2 different approaches that you can take. It can be the armpits pushing straight down towards the floor, the hips shooting straight back towards the heels, or both. Either way should get pretty good and loosened up from the on the hips from the Z stretch, and the shoulders for the box shoulder stretch. But at the same time, it's connectivity. So we're trying to stay where our aim is to stay connected from the top down. So, oftentimes if we're doing a warm up and we think, or a cool down for that matter, and we're thinking I'm gonna stretch out my shoulders, it has the tendency to, it's not always, but it has the tendency to sometimes kind of stray away from just the target area. So if I need to loosen up my shoulders and I start doing some arm circles, I'm probably not thinking about bracing my midline or squeezing my quads and glutes and hamstrings to stay connected. That's the elevator pitch for the connectivity. The workout today is so the first part of today, so the thought process behind this is to get us, give us an opportunity to not only warm up, but build to some heavier loads following a similar process to a 3x3 across, or a 5x5 across, or 7x7 across, etc., etc. So the sort of featured movement, and it won't always necessarily be the featured movement, but the featured movement will more than likely be the strength component for the workout. And if there isn't a externally loaded movement like a barbell, then there won't be a featured movement. So in this one, we have the thruster in the Metcon. So we're going to take 15 minutes to build to a heavy set of 3. So like I said before, it's similar to the 3x3 or the 5x5 or 7x7. The rep ranges, we won't be using these to target 1 RMs. So I've always said the truest set of 3 is a set of 2, truest set of 5 is a set of 4, and on and on. So if we're given 15 minutes, you can approach it however you'd like. The heavy set of 3, that can mean heavy set, trying to find the appropriate loading for the Metcon. Heavy set of 3 could mean a lifetime PR of 3. It could also be technique work. It doesn't have to be loaded up, grip it and rip it, but it is an opportunity to lift heavy before we lift fast, I guess, for lack of better explanation. So the target rep range for today is 3 reps for the thruster. You can use a rack if you'd like, or you can practice taking it from a floor. However, it's not a cluster or a squat clean thruster. Okay, so that's why I said that's the reason for the rack, is that the thruster starts at the top. We descend fully into the squat. We stand up, and then we thrust out of the squat into our press. So pulling under and catching it in the squat, it's a little bit of a cheat code. But it's also a different movement than a thruster. So we're building to a heavy 3. And then the second and the third rep, we're not squat cleaning it either. You might ride the press or the eccentric of the overhead position down and sort of use the stretch reflex out of the bottom. That's fine, but you can also use the stretch reflex out of the bottom of your squat from the top position. So going for 3, use a rack, or you can power clean it from the floor, but it has to start at the top for the first rep, so we're not squat cleaning it. I know I said we're not targeting 1. Don't do any 1 rep. I know that it gets enticing to do, whenever there's like a heavy day and like maybe the bar is moving a little bit easier than normal. To think like my previous max of, I know it's a thruster. I don't know if we've ever even maxed out a thruster, but maybe that's even an even better explanation then. So I've never maxed out a thruster. I want to find my max thruster. We're finding a 3 rep. So we're finding a 3 rep today. If it's a 3 rep max, or if it's a heavy 3 for the day, or if it's, like I said, it's just using it to sort of lubricate the thruster a little bit and grease the groove and get it ready and primed for the 9 thrusters times 5 rounds that we're going to do in the Metcon. Either way, that's fine, but it's not a 1 rep. So, and then to go back to the analogy that I was using before, if it's a day where you do have a max thruster in your logbooks and you look at it and it was 155 pounds and you just hit 155 pounds for 3, great, load up 165 and go for 3 again. And if you do 1 thruster and then you go for the second rep and you don't make it, well, then I guess you found 1, but that's not the intention. We don't want to max out. We're not going to do that. So any of the lifts that we see, we'll see 3s, we'll see 5s, we'll see 7s, and you'll see that later this week as well. If we see a barbell in a workout, you might see a 5, you might see a 7, and then we'll tap in on some of those. So the hope is that if you see a 3, then the next time you see it, if it's a 5, then we hit the same load for 5 that we hit for 3 previously. That makes sense. The Metcon at 15. Can't express that enough. So you're given 15 minutes to build to a heavy 3 thruster. Use a rack if you want, take it from the floor if you want. But at 15, got to be ready to go and start the row for the Metcon. So at 15, 3, 2, 1, clock resets. Doing 1,000 meters on the row, that's your buy-in. And then you're doing 5 rounds of 9 thrusters, 9 bar muscle ups. So this is for C. For B, it's 1,000 meter row, 5 rounds of 9 thrusters at 115 and 80, 9 banded bar assisted muscle ups, band assisted bar muscle ups. And then for A, it's 1,000 meter row, less than or equal to, and then 9 thrusters, less than or equal to 95 or 65, and then 9 pull-ups. I put unassisted or banded there just to sort of, if I were to look at a movement, if I were to look at a workout that had pull-ups in it and think I need to do band assisted, and then I look at a workout that has muscle-ups in it, and I think, well, I'm not quite at the band assisted bar muscle up yet, so I'll modify this to some pull-ups. The pull-ups that I use for the muscle ups should be a little bit harder. So if you have the ability to do some pull-ups, but you wouldn't, under most circumstances, consider doing an unassisted pull-up in a Metcon, in lieu of muscle-ups, that would be maybe an appropriate time to try those, because the muscle-up is a harder movement than the pull-up. So if you do choose to do, or however, if you do choose to use band-assisted pull-ups, make them more challenging than the band-assisted pull-ups that you would do if you were to do the band-assisted in lieu of pull-ups. So if I were to normally, for example, if I were to see a work, if this workout weren't written with muscle-ups, for example, if it were written 9 thrusters, 9 pull-ups, and then the A progression was 9 thrusters and 9 band assisted pull-ups. What band would I use? If I were to use the top peg and the number 5 or the number 2 band, or no, the top peg, the number 5 band. So a nice thick band. Maybe instead of, or because this is written with muscle ups, instead of doing the 5 band, maybe I use a 2 or a 1 band to make them that much more challenging.